Hello everybody and welcome back to the CoachCon podcast. This is episode 3. I'm very pleased to say that I'm joined today by my very good friend Tom Murphy, who, like myself, is a fellow online coach. He's been doing this a little bit longer than myself, but we're going to get a stack of value out of him today on this call. So Tom, welcome on, mate. How are you getting on? Are you all good?
All good, thank you, sir. All good. Thank you for having me. Excited. I've not actually done a podcast before, so if I end up talking a load of bollocks, then I do apologise.
I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine. It's great to have you, mate. So let's start simple. Obviously, you're a coach like myself, but what is your coaching mission? What is sort of the reason you got into this?
Great question. I was one of the skinnier and less athletic kids at school, and I found fitness when I was about 16 or 17, going to the gym. There was a guy in my year who was a lot bigger, a lot more athletic than me, and we used to go to the gym together. We was quite good friends, and I was always playing catch up with him, and I just found that it gave me a massive level of confidence right when I needed it, like around that age when you're like 16, 17, 18. You know, you're probably the least confident that you've ever been in your life, and it just completely changed how I viewed myself. And then from there, I joined. I started working in a private facility from when I was 18 up until I was 26, and again, confidence just continued to grow from there. And I just realised it was one of the key turning points was the gym in making me become my most confident self, essentially. So I realised if it could help me that much, then it can help other people. And I think where I came, you know, you hear a lot of coaches who have like an athletic background at school, they did a sport, they've always had that sort of element of athleticism. I think I was probably one of the least athletic kids in the whole year, and I think if you were to look back at school and anyone was to say, you know, oh, Tom's going to be a PT, I think a lot of people would laugh. So but with that, I think that makes me feel more confident in working with people and who I know I can help, because genuinely, like, if I could do it, then, you know, anybody can. So I think that's Brilliant. Where I get that belief system from, you know. Fantastic.
And would you say as well, of course, your sort of tagline, if you like, on Instagram about becoming the fittest, leanest, most confident version of yourself, obviously you've managed to achieve that yourself, and would you say that is probably the biggest sort of selling point almost to people? It's very much a thing of like, if I can do it, then you can do it as well. Is that sort of the mantra, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, if we're in the coaching industry, you know, the kind of niches that you can work in, so you can go down the sports route with people, you can go down the strength and conditioning route as well. I loved doing my own body transformation, and from a selfish point of view, when I could put up a before and after, I remember the first before and after I put up when I was qualified to become a PT, 20 years old. I did a 7-week shred, and I remember tracking my calories, and I was absolutely dialed in, and I didn't post anything about it until I did the before and after. And when I dropped the before and after, I mean, it's all ego, but I remember how many people were commenting like, holy crap, like, this kid from school, how the hell has he done this? And then people were messaging, and it was just at the start of my PT career. I thought I'd time it so that as I was becoming a PT, I could show this result to show, you know, I had a bit of half a clue of what I was talking about. And I think, to be honest with you, like, if we look at our industry, the before and afters, they're the easiest selling point, you know, without sounding like a sleazy, like, salesperson. I remember at the gym that I used to work at, they were talking about us niching down. So, you know, I remember in one of our coaches' meetings, we were talking about, okay, well, maybe you could be the fat loss coach, you could be the Olympic lifting coach, because we had sort of barbell classes at the gym that I was working at the time. And I remember thinking, like, from a selling point, I feel like it's so much easier to sell the transformation, because that's what 9 out of 10 people go to the gym for. You know, we didn't have people coming into the gym to learn how to do an Olympic lift sort of thing. You know, it could be something as like a bit of fun. When I was on the gym floor, obviously this was all before obviously the online thing.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, you know, the fat loss stuff is the way to go, really. And I've always found that the most fun, you know, from my transformation and how it made me feel. It is so fun to be able to pop that photo up of somebody. Like, even with the photo shoots I do, they're my most favourite thing to do across the whole year, like with the team meetups and stuff like that. But the photo shoots they're so good, because I get all my clients to come down, and I pretty much force people into them. But they get there on the day, and they're like, "Why do you make me do this? This is awful. I'm taking my top off in front of these strangers I don't know, getting camera in my face." They hate it, and then when we get the results, they're just buzzing with it. And I know, you know, that's how I felt when you get that before and after, and you can show people. It's it's life changing for people, I think, right?
Massively. No, I fully agree, and that's the thing is, it's getting them from where they are currently to obviously that transformation at the end. So I'd be interested to hear about your framework that you use when someone starts from, say, day one with you, getting them from day one to a photo shoot. What's the framework? What's the strategy?
I love it. Okay, so I don't work with, you know, bodybuilders, and even when I do these photo shoots, it's not always about getting people absolutely shredded. It's more about wherever they were at when they started to where they are right now, and is there a significant change in their, you know, in their fat loss, in their physique, in their mindset. So even a few of the ones that I've posted recently, it's not that, and I've said to the guys as well, you know, I'm not looking for you guys to come in and have like an 8-pack and be, you know, single digit body fat. If we can get that with some clients, they're willing to do that, then it's great. But for a lot of like everyday people that I kind of work with, it's just about seeing that significant change and, you know, dropping a bit of body fat and feeling better in your clothes. So I'll kind of just force people into it. But in terms of the framework of when someone starts with me, it really is specific to the individual. For me, I would always want to get everybody into a photo shoot because I know how much fun they are and how much I enjoy them. And
definitely.
Look, from a selling perspective, selfishly, if you can throw up a photo shoot transformation, you know, people come in, like leads come in, people are looking and going, right, well, I want to do that, and it's an actual result, right? So certainly. I always want to push people to that. Not everybody wants to do one, which is absolutely fine. But in terms of the process to getting that, really, there's sort of 3 factors that I'll look at, and this is what I normally say to people when I'm on a call with them, is the 3 areas of focus is obviously the training routine. That genuinely is actually probably the more straightforward part of the process. I'll essentially just ask somebody how much time they're able to commit to getting in the gym. You know, the bare minimum that I would love from people is 3. Some people can manage 2 gym sessions, and that's absolutely fine. I've had some guys and girls. I had one boy recently who was a bit younger, probably had a little bit more time on his hands, who literally went to the gym 7 times a week. So there's no real framework with the training sessions in particular. It's more about how much can we possibly fit within your diary, and something's better than nothing. You know, if someone's not doing any training and we get them doing 2 sessions a week, that's going to have a massive impact. The real secret, from what I've found, that really works for people recently is the nutrition approach that I like to run. It's probably quite time consuming, to be completely honest, but it's worth it. So what I normally like to do, let me close this window because I can hear some planes, is when I get on a call with somebody, I really force people to track calories. I'm a big advocate of calorie tracking. I do it myself. I've just found that it is the most clear-cut, like straightforward method to go in, right, okay, if you're hitting that number, then we should see this weight loss happen on a week-to-week basis. So I typically say to most people when their goal is fat loss, we're going to aim for 1% of our body weight that we're looking to lose per week. So I'll work out a calorie target for them based around that. Usually it's as straightforward as taking their current body weight in pounds. So for me, for example, I think I'm about 78. So I'd take that 78 kg, times it by 2.2, and that would give me 171 pounds. And then to work out a starting deficit for most people, I like to go on the low end just to push people and make them a little bit uncomfortable. I'll take that number and times it by 12, and that would give me 2,000 calories to start with. So I'll give them that number to play around with first, and we'll say that your target by the end of the week is to lose 1% of your body weight. So
Brilliant.
If an individual's 100 kg, they're looking to lose a kilo a week essentially, and we just tailor it. So as long as they're hitting that number every week, we keep the calories exactly as they are, and then from there it's a balance of, do we bring the calories down slightly each week, do we increase output where possible, and we just monitor it on a week-to-week basis, and it is as simple as that. But what I like to do with the nutrition, with the hybrid approach that I mentioned, is set them up with a calorie and protein target. So I don't worry too much about carbs and fats. I've found that can be on a bit of a sliding scale, is quite irrelevant. As long as they're hitting their calories and they're hitting a protein target that we set, then we're all good. And the protein target as well is, I usually ask for 0.8 grams per pound of their body weight. So again, if I'm 171 pounds, times that number by 0.8, and we get, what's that, 136? I'd round that up to about 140. So I'd say, okay, your daily protein is 140 grams, 2,000 calories. You can eat whatever you want to hit that, provided that you stay within that calorie target and provided that you hit that protein target daily. Their next question normally is, okay, that's a bit overwhelming. I think you can give someone too much wiggle room to play around with. It can lead to a bit of overwhelm, so people need a bit of a structure. So what I'll do on top of that is then create an example meal plan. So I'll do like an A and a B option to begin with, get some notes off of them from their call, look at food dislikes, what they currently eat at the moment, where they shop. I'll try and be quite in depth with it, and I'll bring up as many notes as I can, and then I'll build an example template that fits as closely to what they're eating currently, whilst also hitting the calorie and protein target. So when they start, they have an A and a B option to begin with, as like a template to go, okay, I can hit my calories and protein using these without, having to use my brain at all. But also, if they have to deviate, if there's a meal on there for whatever reason they can't hit, it's tuna and rice today, but for whatever reason they don't have any tuna in the house, and they change it to a different meal, as long as they still hit their calorie and protein target, then they're all good. That's the most convoluted part of the process when I work with someone, but I've found that is for me, that's the real secret. Like, that would be the one thing that's really helped me get an edge on the results. And it is time consuming, and it takes a good bit of time, and it can be quite convoluted because you're adding in these little specific bits and pieces with the meal plans. But for me, that's been the secret that's really given people the edge, because there's no excuse then. It's like, right, I know what numbers I need to hit. I've got an example of how I can hit them based around what I'm eating currently. So it's not a completely different form of food that they would be eating usually. So it fits into their lifestyle. That's been the big secret for me personally. And then on top of that, the weekly check-ins as well, the weekly accountability. You probably know how difficult it is sometimes to get check-ins out of people, but when they're consistent with it, that's the secret, right?
Certainly. No, that's it. I think a lot of the coaching side of things relies on the check-in, and from that, your general communication, even day to day with people. So probably much like yourself, there's a couple of clients I speak to pretty much every day. There's some clients I'll speak to maybe one text and then the check-in, and that's kind of it. For some people, you might send a text midweek, how's everything going? They might miss that, but they'll still do the check-in, and they're smashing it and they're flying. But you've got to just tailor the level of support to each individual, and it's not a one-size-fits-all at all, really, is it? But I think that's the main thing, that where the coaching I know myself working with Billy, my own coach, it's a thing of, it's just having that accountability and knowing if I'm stuck, I can send a text off, whatever it might be, But one thing that I'd be good to get, obviously you mentioned there about the sustainability approach with the train side of things. We've touched on the nutrition, but is there anything else that you use that's going to help people get long-term results as well with all of this?
Good question. A lot of it, I think, is the psychological aspect as well. So when we say like sustainability, I don't know, my mind, I've kind of shifted on this, and I've kind of shifted on how I market this as well. I think when I did start out, it was, my bio used to say, I'll help you lose body fat, still enjoy your social life, blah blah blah. recently, and I don't know if this is to do with how I run my life, I've definitely gone a little bit more into like the hardcore. Like for me personally, I don't really go out, I don't really socialise. I'm a very boring bastard. I go to I work, I go to the gym, and then I absolutely love jiu-jitsu at the minute. I'm obsessed with that. But all of those aspects is like, it's like self-development, everything to do with my life right now. I'm like, right, okay, is this making me better or worse? I've really given up with the whole like socialising side of things. I'm just not fussed by it anymore.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, because I genuinely live that, I feel a lot more comfortable with pushing clients and saying to them, look, okay, you can go out, you can socialise, but you don't need to drink that beer. And they might say, I really want to. And I think because I know that I don't anymore, I feel more comfortable in being able to push them. And I think that's a big realisation I've had recently with results, is that if you are willing to put in the work yourself as a coach, and you are raising your own standards, you feel a lot more comfortable to put that pressure on somebody else. When if I was younger and I was going out and getting on it on the weekends, and I was sitting in a check-in and going, you can't go out on the weekend, you need to be mindful with what you're drinking, but I'm getting pissed up and they can see on my stories, I feel like a hypocrite. But I think, that comes through. I think that comes through with when I'm coaching people. They can see that I am. I think they also, like, most people say, all you do is work, and I'm like, but I love it. And I think because of that, there's probably a bit more of an element of respect there. So then they go, right, okay, he gets after it, he's grafting. I can see that, like, that's his main focus. I'm going to put that effort in. So I think that's been a big part of getting the result as well, is who you are as a person, for sure. I'm not perfect by any means, but I've noticed that has had a shift in the last few years with how much I'm able to push people as well.
Certainly. I think as well it's the element as well of knowing when to push and when to pull. So I know for me, when I was doing them pictures at sort of mid-June, I was very aggressive sort of dieting, cardio, steps, everything, and now I'm in a little bit of a phase where I'm taking it a little bit steady. I'm still controlling what I can, but not going too over the top, because I think it is easy to burn yourself out a little bit with things. If you're pushing for a long period of time, you get sort of this end goal, and then you don't want to sort of go completely the other way. So it's sometimes as well, I think, knowing when to push, when to maybe have a rest, hold back a little bit on things. I think that's something that is very much individual based, because as we know, it's, as you said, like a psychological side of things as well, isn't it? But one thing that I'll get into as well is obviously confidence. Certainly for me, and yourself obviously talk about your story as well, getting into this, it can be a very tough journey. I think we're both proof of that, and we have clients that want to gain the confidence and go through that journey themselves, and I'd be interested to know, how do you support clients through that journey?
It is very similar to, what you said at the start with the level of communication you have with your clients. And I think one of the things that you feel when you start out is you have to give every single client the same amount of time across the week, and some clients need a lot more and some need a lot less, and it's about being adaptable and almost like a chameleon to each client. Like as you said, some clients you'll do one check-in, you get the old dad text, a thumbs up, and you think, oh brilliant, does that mean you read it? But they're cracking on in the background. Some clients you don't even need to message, they'll drop me a little screenshot, be like, yeah, look, 5 kilos down. I'm like, oh fucking brilliant, I haven't really haven't even needed to message you too much there. Some clients need that daily support, they need you on the other end of the phone to celebrate their wins. I think a lot of it comes down, one thing I really try and do recently as well, that's quite difficult but I think is worthwhile. I think it's very easy to notice when people are doing things wrong and to criticise and to not necessarily scold, but to put light on them. So for example, if someone in a check-in says, I went out on the weekend. I had a few too many drinks. I'll try not to sit and dwell on that and go, you know, you can't be going that mad. You need to be mindful of when you're going out. You can have a few, but don't let it be too over the top. I'll try not to put too much emphasis on when someone's doing wrong and scolding. What I'll try to do is make note of if a client does something very well. So let's say, I don't know, I said to a client this week, I want you to go in and get your cardio done. I've upped it to 20 minutes on Thursday. It comes up as a notification on the coaching app. Client completes their 20 minutes. I'll then try to make note of messaging them and going, we set that as a target, you did it, I'm very happy and I'm very grateful for that. And I think when people see messages like that,
Definitely.
they just want to work harder for you because they think, oh my God, this guy, like, he actually cares about me. So I'll try to lean into the positive aspects more. Watch out for when they're doing something that I really want them to be doing. You know, if they start tracking their calories in the midweek, I'll check their coaching app, and if I can see that they have been, I'll send them a quick screenshot where possible and say, you know, look, I can see you've been tracking. I'm very grateful that you're doing that. Thank you. And even leading with that gratitude thing, you know. I think people almost, you know, they go, I'm grateful, and they think, why are you grateful? Like, I'm paying you. This is an expectation. This is like what this is the bare minimum, no? But like, I think when you are grateful to clients and you say, look, you know, I appreciate the fact you are listening to me, you are doing what I want you to do.
Definitely.
They just get so much more energy from that. They're like, oh fuck yeah, this guy, like, he respects, like, do you know what I mean? It just gives them a different level, different energy. So I'll try and do that a lot more recently as well.
1,000,000%. No, that's great, and I think it just shows that care element of the service as well. And it's because you want real connections to be, you know, with real people. You know, it's the thing of obviously all this stuff with AI and stuff with like ChatGPT, you're able to do your meal plan if you want, but actually having someone supporting you and in the background with you is fantastic. Would you say you've had a particular client, you know, and you've been surprised as a coach by how much the mental state's changed, not just the body, but how much they've improved overall? Do you ever get those kind of shocks as well?
Absolutely. I mean, what's been really interesting is, so I left the gym floor. I was working as a in-person PT from when I was 20 to when I was 26. Dived all in with the online coaching. So this was 2023. So I've been doing this now for the last, it's coming up to 2 years in September. All in with the online. There was a few people that I had been coaching in person for a good while. And there were a few clients that were members of the gym that I was coaching at that I knew of. I'd never actually PT'd them myself, that have since actually done like a coaching, like the online coaching with me, and they've actually worked out better in terms of the result that they've got and what they've actually, how they've actually applied themselves compared to if they were to PT. There were some clients that I thought, you know, if I was to PT them, I don't think they'd be a good fit. I don't think they'd listen to the stuff that we'd implement. And actually I found that since moving online, I don't really know what it is. I think it is the nutrition aspect and how I've been running that. There's a bit more of a nutrition element with the online coaching. I've found that people that I wouldn't have anticipated to get a result have got a really good result that I've been quite surprised by. You know, they've come on and I thought, okay, let's see how they go, and they actually do better than I anticipate, which has been really cool. And I think maybe that's to do with like the deadlines that we set and the photo shoots. I do that a lot more than what I did when I was PTing on the gym floor. But in terms of the mental as well, with what you touched on, the mental change, I think a lot of the confidence side of things and how you view yourself does come from just doing stuff that's a bit difficult that you're proud of. You know, when people talk about confidence and like, how are you so confident? A lot of it just comes from action and evidence. I don't know if you've heard of, do you know Alex Hormozy?
Yes, massively. Yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely love the guy, honestly. All of his videos, I'm like, yep, bang on. But he says a line and it's like, confidence comes from evidence of your actions. And I think that's absolutely spot on. It's like, if you can just do something uncomfortable and stick with it, and get a result, that's the big secret to gaining massive levels of confidence. Even with, you know, like stuff like this and like the social media and all the videos and stuff like that, people say, you know, you do it and you seem like you're sort of effortless with it, but the videos I've been doing since I was since 2021 now, I think, so the last 4 years, they were crap when I started. They were absolutely crap, but you just have to make that decision that, okay, it's going to be crap, and you keep going with it, and you earn the confidence. It's not something that you have innately, you know.
Certainly. It's doing the reps, isn't it? It's like the same as going to the gym. You're not going to suddenly transform your body off one session and one good day of eating. It's going to be the weeks, the months. For us with the content, it's literally the years now, isn't it? Because I think, for me, I'm trying to think, when I started filming, I think it was probably about a year after yourself. I seem to remember it was about Christmas time 2022 that I started. No, it might have been 23 actually. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. But anyway, it's still a few years of like digging in, trying different things. I had a post that did quite well in about January this year, and that was
the one that I met you from.
That was it.
Was it the fat bastard? I was like, that is absolutely, honestly, and I think I messaged you about it. I was like, this is so good.
Yeah.
And then I had to follow you after. I was like, this guy is just, it was like so human as well, right? It was like,
you've got to be.
It was almost like anti-wanky. I'm one of the more like wankier coaches probably in the space, but it was just so normal and human, and I loved it. And I was like, that is so good. This guy, he gets it. And yeah, I think that's kind of how we started speaking to each other now, right?
Certainly. Yeah, no, definitely. That was literally it. That was January this year, but that was actually my 700th post. That was at number 700, and it's like, wow. That's and with the content, I think I'd worked out was like the 14th style I'd done, if I counted, like, so that style of the Dead or Alive playing in the background and the little clips that I put in. That's completely different to some of the stuff. There was some I'd been doing literally about a month before that, a bit more mindset stuff where I was like in a studio at Sayham Hall in their gym, and I'd set the lighting up and it was like purple and a bit moody, and it was just like a single shot, captions, a bit of zooming in and out, so that was a different style. There was a style where I'd been doing a couple of different ones on a beach. They did nothing. Like, that was another style. Then the gym's another one. And then even just the styles of like where you might get some generic clips on CapCut and then put like your voice over them, another style. Like, it's just pivot, test all the time. And it's just, I mean, I honestly, when I made that video, and even the ones like it since, doing sort of that front camera and the script and then the editing, I was just like, I don't know if this is going to work, you know, and it's It's just trying and testing stuff. But as I say, I think for obviously yourself, and I was fortunate, I got a few clients on the back of that, and people were good about it. There were a couple of messages that were like, this is so cringe, like, what you doing? I got a few where it was like, you know, and there was a few things got back to us as well of like what other people had said, and I thought, you're just not going to be pleasing everybody, but at the same time, the demographic that I was talking to was people like myself. I wasn't trying to speak to everyone, you know, as much as I'd love to have clients that, you know, maybe a little bit more, you know, like endurance athletes or something like that. Like, I'm not too familiar with that. Obviously, I've done bits and pieces myself by winging it, but like, if someone's coming to me and like, I've got 100 mile to do, I'd be like, oh, just Goggins it, just you know, I wouldn't be like, it's literally that. Like, it was that, as I say that, because that's all I've ever done, you know. I mean, my first half marathon I did, and a couple of years back, I never trained for it. I wanted to, but I was injured in the run up, and my thing was that, well, I'm just going to have to try it, and it was just, you know, 2.5 hours of doing a Goggins, defeating the inner bitch, you know. And so that would be my training advice. That's what they pay me for. But that's what I mean. Like, I targeted Warren Yu, which was sort of my story in getting the weight off, basically. But with that as well, obviously we talk about content, we see the trends, we see the hacks, the fads. Is there sort of anything in particular, perhaps a transformation trend that drive you mad? Is there anything that you see the way you're like, I wish I'd stopped seeing all this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard now. Like, I don't know if you have it in your algorithm as well, where like when you start running ads and you follow coaches, like the algorithm shows you a lot more coaches. So every third post that I'm seeing right now is, you know, another coaching advert, another coaching advert. So I think for us, it can create this bubble that like everyone is doing the same thing, and there's just coaches everywhere. But obviously for the regular person, they're probably not seeing as many coaching adverts as what we do as well. In terms of actually stuff that's sort of irritated me recently, to be honest with you, there's not. I mean, I used to do like the whole I don't like fads, and you know, keto is crap and low carb is crap and fasting is crap. And to be honest with you now, I'm a bit more of a chameleon with like a client. I had a client that I spoke to recently. She said, you know, I don't really like having breakfast at the minute. I just find that I prefer lunch and dinner, just sticking to 2 meals. And there was an element of me that wanted to butt in and go, oh, you know, it doesn't matter about how many meals you're eating, this calories, blah, blah, blah. And like, I wanted to go into like coach explain mode. And then I sat there and I thought, you know what, is it getting the result? Does she feel like it's not as much effort with that approach that she's taking? And it was like, you know what, yeah, fair enough. It's absolutely fine. Are your energy levels okay? Do you know, are you progressing in the gym? Yes, she was. Is it a simple and easy approach she doesn't have to think about? Yep. So there's less decision fatigue with that as well. So I don't know, if anything now I'm a bit more open to trying whatever works for the client. And I've said this a couple of times in a few check-ins, and I've said, maybe this isn't the most, I'm probably making myself sound like a really bad, unhealthy coach, but I'll say no. Now, I care more about the if we can get the result, I'm not too worried about the means of getting there, in terms of, you know, tracking calories. I always try and push people to do, because I think it's a useful skill to just bring awareness to how many calories are in certain foods for people. I think it's such a good skill to have, and it's definitely something everyone should try at least once in their life.
Yeah.
But if it gets to that point where, you know, someone says, I'd rather just fast, I find it easier, and it's getting the result, for me, I'd be much more open to just saying, like, that's fine, let's stick with that. If it's working, it's not giving you too much to think about, that's no problem. Whereas before I would have been a bit more, no, you have to do it my way, you know. So I'm a bit more of a chameleon in that sense. I'll definitely work with the client a little bit more, and that's probably where, you know, that is a bit more work, because in the ideal scenario you can bring in a kind of client and say, look, this is my system, follow my system, do as you're told, get the result. And that would take a lot less work from my end, probably, because everyone's like a copy and paste of one another. But that's not coaching, I suppose.
No.
Right? That's you could just sell that to anybody. So it's being willing to work with the person and adapt, and there really is there's no one way of doing things, and that's what I found a bit more. That's not even the question that you asked, to be fair, was it? You asked about
it was good. No, it's right. I mean, I think we live
there a bit.
No, it was spot on. I think, just add to your point as well, it's the thing of where people are saying, oh, optimal this, optimal that, you know, but sometimes it's not taking into account real life and real life situations. You know, if someone's a, you know, single parents and you've got the bairns running about first thing on the morning and you're trying to get them off to school, you've got to feed them, look after them, you know, get them sorted. You know, they might not have a chance to get breakfast first thing, but they might have to wait a little bit because the school run, that kind of thing, depending on what they're doing, you know. And that's the thing, you don't, for folks like that, you don't want to coach over the top of them, sort of say, oh no, you've got to do this, it's not you know, this is optimal, you must do this. And I think it's being flexible, isn't it? And even for folks that aren't getting coached at the moment, I think even just being a little bit kind to yourself and just sort of thinking, well, you know, I might not be able to do this right now, but I can do it later, or, you know, I've still got the gym 3 times a week. Yes, I wanted 4, but such and such happened, and I think that's the best way to kind of look at things from that perspective, isn't it? Really.
To add to that as well, with a lot of my clients, they're older. I mean, I'm 28.
Yes.
I live at home. I'm in my mum's box room right now. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I have no excuse to not be in shape, to go to the gym pretty much when I want. I'll always say this to clients when, they are mums and dads and they've got their jobs, they've got their mortgages, they've got all these other stresses.
Yeah.
There's no... They're not going to want to sit and listen to me and say, you should be able to find the time for this extra session. I'll lean the other way and I'll say, look, if they miss a session, I'll say, I'll never understand how busy you are right now because I'm not in that position. And I think that's another factor as well. I try not to overstep the mark in I'm holier than thou. You should just be doing exactly what I say, and this is you just get it done, because they're going to think, well, fuck off, you're a little liar. Who are you? You're just living in your mum's box room, basically. Who are you to say? But I think where I own that, I think people are a bit more... I don't know, there's a bit more trust there, because I'm quite open with the fact that I'm not as busy in terms of stress from work and having kids and having a mortgage that they would be themselves. So I think I'm quite open with that, and I think that makes them feel a bit more comfortable to say, okay, right, it's not, if it isn't perfect, he's not going to sit there and tell me and scold me sort of thing like a teacher. I really try and avoid that as best I can as well, and I found that helps too.
Fabulous. No, same. That's definitely the thing. It's understanding. I mean, there's one of my clients that I've got, and he's been truck driving, that kind of stuff, and I remember saying to him one day, to Brad, I was just saying, look, I was at Ultraflex with him at the time. We were doing a session, and I just says, look, I can come here pretty much any time I want. If he's working away on lorries up and down the country and driving for hours on end, he can't be hitting the maybe the 15,000 steps or more that I was doing at the time, and stuff like that. It's just saying, well, actually, your plan's this. Yeah, it might take a little bit longer for you to get to where you want to be, but it's more the thing of you're still going to get there, and just understand that I've got a bit of an advantage, doing the online stuff, having that the freedom, if you like, and not being tied to say hours. And then obviously in Brad's case it was a thing of the traffic and the hours working away, night shifts, whatever he was kind of given, because it's a tough job, plus all the heavy lifting and everything like that comes with that job. It's been understanding. So one thing that I'd say, obviously we're getting a little bit close to the end now, but one thing I'd ask, mate, is if someone wants to work with you directly, where should they go? Where should they reach out to you?
Love it. They can. They go straight to my bio on Instagram, and there's a pre-app form that they can fill out, and that sends an email directly to me, and then from there I can get in contact with them from there. But yeah, nice and straightforward, really. Just to touch as well on what you mentioned there with a client, it sprung in my head, and I thought I've got to say this as well. So with clients always not being able to adhere, I think what they expect when they message you is to say, I didn't hit all of my training, I didn't hit all of my nutrition. I think the instinct for most coaches would be, okay, well, you have to get it done, you have to push through, you need to work, you need to make the time, you need to find the time. I think a lot of people aren't super receptive to that, and it becomes a bit more of there's a bit more resistance, it's almost not an argument, but there's a bit more push and pull to go, okay, well, yeah, I don't have the time right now, blah blah blah, and then you can get into a back and forth match in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I did a charisma course. This sounds so cheesy, but I did a charisma course a couple years back, and it was so useful just in terms of human psychology and how to interact with people. Sound autistic, but one of the things that they said in it was the frame of a conversation, and if you get someone, what was the example used? It was so good. it was like he was late. He said, "Here's an example. You're late for work, right? You go in, and if you come in with excuses, and someone says you're late, and you go, oh well, you know, the train was not running, and you know, my alarm didn't go off properly," it becomes a bit more of a match where they're then going, okay, well, you know, there's no excuses. You should turn up early. You should do this. You should do that. If you come in and you're a lot more self-deprecating, and you say, "Oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. This is completely out of order. I should have been here so much earlier. I'm a terrible worker." People are more likely to take the opposite side of a situation. So
Clever.
they're more likely to then say, you know what? No, you're fine. It's okay. These things happen. And I found that works really well with clients. So if they were to say to me, you know, I missed my workout. I'm rubbish. And I then reply and say, you know, that you're human. It's so hard. It's so much harder for you than it is for me. You're doing so well already. You know, you've got so much going on in your life. Normally, their response back to that is, no, actually, no, you're right. My life isn't that hard. I can still go and get that session in. Whereas if they were to say, you know, I can't do this, and then you go, no, you can. You've got to just find it and dig deep. They're a bit more resistant. I think that's the word, resistance. There's a lot more resistance to that. I think if you play one side, they'll then play the opposite 9 times out of 10. So I will tend to lean into the,
Clever.
you're okay, life's hard. Don't worry about going for that run tonight. If you've had a really stressful day, I think they're more likely to then go, no, okay, I can go for a run. I'm just being silly. It's fine. I'll go. Whereas if you were to force them and say, no, get that run done. Come on. Most times they just think, oh, fuck off, go away. Like, leave me alone. Like, they'll more likely. That's a good little. I don't know. It's a psychological trick. I'm opening up my my book of tricks here, all my secrets. But I found that works really well. Is to do say the opposite of what they lean into the opposite of what they're sort of saying, and it will get them to go, oh, actually, no, I can go. I can do this. I can eat a bit better. You're right. It's fine. So I found that works really well.
Class. No, that's brilliant, mate. Love that. So, what is one quick tip or habit people could apply from today after watching this today?
Oh, I love it. One thing for fat loss, just start tracking calories. Just give it a go. I put off doing it. I mean, I've been a coach from when I was... So, I've actually been in the fitness industry. I worked in a gym from when I was 18. And I'm now 28, so it has been 10 years. But the first few years of the coaching industry, I didn't track any calories. I've only actually started tracking regularly in the last year or so, purely because I was telling so many clients to do it, and I thought I'm a bit of a hypocrite, really, making everyone do this, and I'm not doing it myself. And it has been such a game changer in just awareness to the amount of calories you're putting into your body and what you're putting in, and it's not actually as hard of a habit as what people I think make it to be. It's almost like it's like brushing my teeth now. Like if I eat anything, I just open the app. I'm not even thinking about it anymore. The more you do it, the more you realise you're eating a lot of the same food, and you can just make little tweaks. I've found that's the single biggest habit that I've found with a lot of my clients that has changed the game. And I think, again, I feel more comfortable telling people to do that because I'm doing it myself.
Definitely.
If I was telling everybody to do it and I wasn't and they said, oh, you know, how do you track? And I go, well, I'm not actually, I'm just telling you to. I think it comes across a bit like disingenuine, and
definitely
you're a bit of a hypocrite almost. So that's a big factor, is tracking the calories for sure has been the biggest game changer that I found recently.
Class. No, that's brilliant, mate. Tom, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you very much for coming on. Full of insight, straight to the point with everything, no fluff. That was brilliant. So, to everyone listening, drop us a follow at Tom Murphy Coaching and at Ashton Online Coaching. Share this conversation, drop a comment below, let us know if it was use, let us know if it was of use and what you found the most helpful. So, Tom, thank you again, and we shall see you soon.
Spot on, mate. Thank you.